Thank you very much. But first things first, before we speak about GenAI and technological adoption, certain conditions need to be in place. For example, robust governance systems. Minister, starting with you. Could you share some initiatives already implemented or currently under implementation in Greece that are creating these conditions?
So, first of all, let me say that it's a great pleasure to be here with you today. It's really important that we are starting this discussion about how AI and new technologies will impact. They have already started impacting, but I think that we don't even understand how much they will impact future tourism. So the way that we do the planning, the way that we enjoy a destination, and the way that we remain in contact with destination, with this experience in the future. So this is a discussion that has already started. I feel that we are not placing enough importance when it comes to the global agenda. I'm saying this because I have participated in the General Assembly in Riyadh of the UN Tourism. And of course, there was a declaration, the Riyadh Declaration, describing, let's say, some of the main elements of what AI means and how it will impact the future of tourism. But at the same time, I don't feel that the knowledge is there yet, or the forecast as to exactly how we want, as policymakers, for AI to impact tourism. Because I think this is equally important, because AI is running so quickly, it's so fast going. So we as policymakers, we really need to be on the same pace. And it's almost impossible. I think that it's the first time that policymakers cannot be one step ahead. So we definitely need to have this in mind. And this is why it's really important to have these kinds of discussions and to actually add people who are involved in this industry as stakeholders in tourism. So going back to your question about governance, of course, we're saying that Greece is one of the most popular destinations in the world. It's one of the top 10 destinations, most visited destinations. We have amazing results this year because it's the first time, 2025 is the first time where we have registered an increased number, a percentage in terms of revenue, which is much larger than the increase in the number of visitors, which means that little by little we are becoming a more qualitative destination. So we are in our way of what we call qualitative growth, because that is the goal, that is a strategy, qualitative growth. We see that we have increased numbers of visitors and revenue in the first 5 months of the year. October, November, Athens, Thessaloniki are year-round destinations. We see new destinations becoming much more appealing, more popular. We see the mainland of the country starting to become more popular, more visited. It's the first time that we as Ministry of Tourism have placed mountain tourism as part of our main strategy to grow Greek tourism. But overall, this is a success of many players, many stakeholders. So of course, policymakers, the state, the ministry, Greek National Tourism Organization, but equally important is the private sector, and of course, regional governance. And that is where I would like to place my emphasis, because I think that governance right now should definitely come much closer to the regional level. This is why we have a new level of governance when it comes to tourism, destination management and marketing organizations. Many of you in the tourism sector may have heard about DMOs in the past. So it was the organization which had the responsibility for marketing. Nowadays, the point is not how you market or what you market. The point is, first of all, how you manage the destination, and then you market. So DMMOs are a very important element of this new governance in tourism. We are now setting the first DMMOs in Greece, both in regions or in municipalities. These will act, let's say, as the good examples for the new DMMOs. And definitely, new technologies, AI, should be incorporated in the first, let's say, articles of association of each DMMO, because we need to incorporate new technologies in these new organizations, because this is exactly what will lead us to the future. So overall, I think that we do have the tools, and we must remain very vigilant when it comes to new developments, which are very fast, and we need to be there and not just react, but in a way, if possible, be proactive.
Great. Thank you. That's amazing. So there is a holistic approach from development and management to marketing for first time. But I'm going back to what you said, that still the landscape globally is vague and the development is very rapid. So GenAI is now moving toward more advanced agent-based capabilities, but until recently, globally, much of the focus in tourism appeared to center on marketing-related activities, such as content and campaign creation. I'm moving to Barry. Barry, from your experience, where do you now see GenAI adding real strategic value for destination, in addition to its contribution to marketing, especially in the challenging environment we face today?
Great question. Thank you very much. So I think, and I'd just like to really echo the Minister's comments in that the global stage on AI is, particularly in tourism, is quite vague and complicated at the moment. And I'll caveat anything I'm about to say with the fact that I'm not a technologist. I'm a tourism person. So any of my kind of experiences is characterized by playing with AI from a tourism perspective. And I think it all comes down to the question, is AI something that is happening with the tourism industry across Europe globally, or is it something that's happening to the tourism industry? And I think at the moment, even though we've had GenAI and we've had LLMs for a couple of years now, it still feels like something that's happening to us, not necessarily with us. And I think tourism is quite a complicated industry, and as the Minister mentioned, because the supply chains are so big and because the consumer markets are so wide, and it takes so many of us to deliver, it can be quite a difficult thing to champion certain rules and regulations and principles and practices, particularly when it comes down to something like technology, which isn't necessarily familiar to those of us in the tourism industry, because all of us, most people who work in tourism come from, as the Minister said so acutely, a marketing background. You know, when we were coming up through university and through our initial jobs, tourism was all about marketing, right? So now you're in an industry, you're in the year 2025, and you're a tourism marketeer that has to grapple with socioeconomics. You have to grapple with tourism technology, GenAI, large language models. So that's why there is a little bit of a feeling in the tourism space of an uneasiness around AI. But that said, a huge amount of people and destinations and have been doing wonderful things with this new technology in particular. But your point is so acute, it's like, why did the tourism industry land on consumer-facing products when it went to work with AI? Why was it always chatbots? Why was it always applications? Or why was it always third-party white-labeled itinerary developers? And I think the reason for that is because it's the nice niche area in tourism for tourism boards or destinations who are a little bit risk-adverse. It's a nice middle ground to play in terms of GenAI, consumer-facing chatbots, consumer-facing itinerary developers is a really nice way to integrate AI into what you're already doing. I think what I would say is the reason we have these examples, and what you said is, unfortunately, these chatbots hit the headlines, and this technology is out there for all the wrong reasons, because no one hears about the 400 amazing examples of AI integration in national websites. Everyone just hears about the one that went wrong and told a vegan to go to a steak restaurant, That's what we end up hearing about, which is unfortunate. But what I would say before I finish up is that the best examples of AI we integrated in tourism, we don't see, because they're integrated on the back end of destination websites. They're being used to do huge amounts of analytical training, data analysis. They're being used to improve booking software and do analysis. So although we're seeing a lot of development in the consumer side of things, what I want to see, and I think toward the minister's points, is that on the back end is where we're really going to see the technology shift. And ultimately, the way that we make that happen in tourism, like anything, is collaboration. Multiple partners working together. That is what's going to differentiate one tourism economy from the other, is how well can people come together to grasp the opportunity of AI.
Indeed, that's a very interesting point. Yeah. And I think we need to see more use cases like this to inspire. I mean, only recently I heard about this Cityverse project about digital twins with GenAI generated augmented reality for participatory management in cities and destinations. We need more of this. And speaking about inspiration and future, Minister, looking ahead, what are your main priorities today for moving Greek destinations toward the future? And where do digital technologies and GenAI fit into this bigger picture?
First of all, I heard something I really like. Augmented reality. So one of the most important aspects of technology and AI is the fact that what we have been discussing for many years, the fact that traveling nowadays is more of an experience. So we have shifted, let's say, even in marketing, from just showcasing, like a beautiful natural scenery or an important cultural asset. We mostly want to promote the experience. So it's the cultural traveling experience, it's the natural tourism experience. So this is where it is really important to incorporate especially augmented reality, because it enhances and in many ways, I think it revolutionizes the way that we feel about the destination and the way that we experience the destination. So going back to a point that I made in my initial statement, technology really is now part of, first of all, the way that we plan our visit. So we must always consider how it revolutionizes the way that we are informed about anything that has to do with the destination, with the experience, etc. Second, I think that especially through augmented reality, it really helps us get the best out of the experience. And of course, when we have already completed our visit, it's the best way to remain in contact with the experience, with the destination, with the people that we came across with. And this is where we as policymakers are also interested in getting the relevant and the necessary information about and the feedback. Because of course, one cannot become better, we cannot ameliorate the offering if we don't get the feedback from our, let's say, customers. So I think this is a very important thing, that it is part of the whole process, both before, during, and after traveling. And I will place particular emphasis on augmented reality, because I believe that Greece especially is a country with this vast cultural offering. It's a country that, like 110 years ago, became a destination. We have the first marketing campaign for Greek tourism, which dates back to 1914, with this beautiful photo of Nellis from the Parthenon. And the reason why we were always an attractive destination was mainly the cultural offering. Well, if you ask me, nowadays, the younger generation, just going around the ruins of the most important ancient monument, I don't think that we can really grasp their attention if we don't offer them, through augmented reality and through other digital tools, the opportunity to understand what it is exactly that they are coming in contact with. So it is the best way to really get to the feeling of new generation, looking for experiences, but wanting to understand what it is exactly that they are seeing. In the past, I'm sure that travelers would have been reading a lot in history books or in these, you remember, really heavy books on tourism about what it would be that they would be seeing in a destination. This doesn't exist anymore. So since we don't have travelers, or we don't have so many travelers doing their research beforehand through these history books or special travel books, etc., I think that technology really, really helps us give them the experience in the most elaborate way. Because through augmented reality, you can really understand what exactly the Parthenon stands for, how it was very ornate, what exactly the golden statue of Athena meant. And in this way, I think that we can really maintain the attractiveness of cultural tourism for the younger generation.
So there is a strategy that puts technology across the experience and the journey of the traveler, but also attracting new generations.
Yeah, because there's no need for me just to explain that we have allocated funds from the Recovery and Resilience Facility to revamp visitgreece.gr, which is the main portal, to have separate how do you call it, not apps, it's platforms, separate platforms for different special types of tourism, that we use AI also for this special app that we have, MyGreece, Greece, to give information to travelers, especially in extraordinary circumstances. So, of course, we are incorporating AI and technology in our planning and our strategy. This is something which is self-explanatory, and of course this is something that we are doing and that we are renewing all the time. But I really want to give you the big picture, because it's really important to understand that the future traveler is already here, and we need to meet the expectations of this new generation.
Barry, what are some practical first steps for destinations that want to adopt technology and AI? And if we are to add another layer to this question, how can smaller destinations with limited resources and data start this journey in a way that makes them more competitive and does not widen the gap with larger destinations?
Yeah, it's a brilliant question, because it gets kind of right to the heart of the issue, which is that is AI adoption, or to broaden it out, is technology adoption in tourism egalitarian? Like, is it only the preserve of your big destinations DMOs, or is it something that can help make the industry more equitable? Can it help small destinations compete with larger destinations in a clever way? And I think it all comes down to this kind of question of information matters in tourism, but the way you get the information matters more. So when we think about AI in tourism, a lot of the time we think about getting the best information to the right person in a very curated and customized way at the right moment so that they can plan their trip in the best way possible. And as the minister said perfectly, like there is this, in tourism you have stages and you have, you know, pre-purchase, inspiration, arrival, experience, post-experience, and review. And steadily what we've seen in the last 20 years is a systematic technological invasion of every single step. So, I mean, I'm just old enough to remember booking holidays through travel agents in a physical way when you sit down across from someone and decide where you want to go. And what we have done in the last 20 years is we've removed humans from almost every step of that process, except for experience. And the big use case, I suppose, for smaller destinations is just to be clever. Particularly those that want to be competitive. I mean, agent ready is the big language. So I suppose making sure that your website and your information is as good as possible, to what the minister said. You know, you can have as many tools as you want, but if you have the best information about your destination and it's available online or it's available on your website, that will make LLMs and large language models much better at communicating and prioritizing your information to the end user. And the thing that I worry about is, before I finish up, is, you know, we've spent all this money and time designing the most beautiful shop windows in the world for destinations, and people are using ChatGPT, which is, you know, white text on a black screen. You know, and that's where they're getting their information. So I would say the information matters, where people get it from and the message and the way they get it matters more. And I think for destinations who are small, they need to remember it's not all about the information, it's about the delivery. It's about how you get that information as well.
I'm keeping notes non-stop from both of you.
Yeah, and on this point, I think that it's a really spot on, because when we were designing MyGreece app, and I have to give you a little bit of context because this was just after the wildfires in Rhodes, where we were very lucky that the government had already incorporated the 112 emergency number, and we were able to inform everybody who was in the affected area and very safely move them to other places in the island. But at the same time, there was this need to provide information as to, you know, like really practical issues. And we were somewhere between, you know, the consulate offices, the travel agents, the tour operators, the local agents, etc. So that is when we, you know, said, okay, we have technology. We should really make the best use of technology. And this is why we set up this new tool, MyGreece, which of course gives us the opportunity, first of all, to give information now in 31 languages. Think about how it used to be in the future. You know, we would have the website in English, and then we would need to translate it into German or whichever other language would be important, because the source market is important and we need to have the information in traveler's own language. Now it's just like so easy to have it in 31 languages and be considering how many more languages we can offer it to. But still, the point is that we were very, very cautious that MyGreece only gets information from sources that are already, information that's already checked. So they cannot just draw information from wherever. Because at the end of the day, you have, I mean, I have found so many times, so many wrong answers to basic questions, and this is also why we all need to become more sophisticated when using technology and realizing that the easiest thing is not always the best. So this is also both from a policymaker's point of view, but also from the consumer point of view.
I could ask you questions for like forever, but since the time is coming up, I would like us to close by coming back to our title, From Memory to Algorithm, which was inspired by the tourism panel of the very first GenAI summit a couple of years ago, where we presented, among others, an experiment. We took food memories from an oral history project and using GenAI, turned them into real dishes with local products for a countryside restaurant. Saying that, I would like to ask you in a few sentences, very briefly, about your vision for GenAI in Greece so that it develops in a responsible way that meaningfully supports sustainable tourism and adds value to local business and communities.
I'll go first and let the Minister have the last word. I think it comes down to the kind of point the Minister made early, which is it's about bringing people along on the journey. And if you can take advantage of all of the noise that's happening around AI and have a clear and coordinated approach that brings destinations and people and policymakers together, then you are way ahead. The destinations which will differentiate themselves from the start will be those that can move forward together with AI. That's what I'd say, certainly for Greece.
Thank you.
Well, we definitely want Greece to remain a destination of authenticity, of beauty, and of course, human connection is really important. And probably that's the only element where technology will not, for the foreseeable future, be able to cover, let's say, this very important element about what traveling is all about. So what our efforts as Ministry of Tourism is to have a top-down approach. It's important for all our tools to be accessible because this is a way to also really help local communities, local destinations adapt. We need to provide them with the tools that are there and they are available. I think that the way to see the future is definitely working together and having networks and collaborations. And this is why I'm really happy when I work closely with the generation that has never had the experience of the travel agent, because it's really important to understand how future travelers will be making their bookings and enjoying the destinations. So it's really important for us to incorporate this to our strategy, which is of course forward-looking. So we're not looking just what will be the results in 2026, but how Greek tourism will be growing by 2035. Thank you.
The human in the center. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we don't have time for questions. Thank you very much.